Have you guys heard about the return of Enki? You know, I've been thinking about this and I've been sitting on something that I wrote about this for several days now, um, wondering if and how I should present it to you all. Because it's not really an easy listening type of, scenario. So I just wanted to read this to you and see what you guys think about it. What if Enki is a stream of consciousness? What if it's an energy, a consciousness, a stream of awareness, a group of advanced ET souls? Okay? You know that we've all incarnated into many different avatars at many different times. What if we incarnated and we weren't always good? What if we were the ancient architects of timelines, systems, and realities? I think I know this, and I feel it very deeply because I'm one of them. I carry this current within me. This isn't something I read or adopted. It's something I remembered on a very deep level. When I try to pinpoint my consciousness to one specific incarnation back 9,000 years ago, it's really hard for me to do. It seems like I was playing multiple people or multiple characters at this time. Some of us didn't just come here to save the world or to spread light. We came back because we had a hand in building the very systems we're now trying to dismantle. This isn't about punishment. This is about responsibility. We came back here because at some point in our soul's journey, we helped shape what's become distorted. We created things with unintended consequences, and now we're here to meet those consequences face to face, not as victims, not as heroes, but as sovereign beings reclaiming our original intention. In order to remember who we truly are, we had to become who we're not. Okay? In order to know who we wanted to be, we had to experience who we didn't want to be. And that's the path of source consciousness. To explore contrast, to split, to forget, and then to remember. So to fragment, to fall into distortion, and then to rise again with the full spectrum of the experience. And that's not failure, that is evolution. And however twisted it might sound, this is the very, thing that you go against with your higher self. Your higher self it sees this as a game. It sees this as a game. There are parts of our soul history that aren't easy to look at. I'm not going to dive into all the dark details, but there were lifetimes where we're not the healers and we're not the guides. We were the manipulators. We engineered control systems. We played with genetic architecture. We seeded egregors and manipulated frequency. Some of us helped lay the groundwork for what became the cabal. Maybe on purpose, maybe on accident, but probably both. And those choices didn't just vanish, they echoed. They rippled across time. As we evolved and rose in frequency, we left behind those darker avatars. Not because we were avoiding them, but because we simply outgrew them. We no longer resonated with those versions of ourselves. And in that energetic abandonment, those old soul aspects became vacant. And in a universe that abhors a vacuum, something else moved in. Those abandoned avatars became organic portals, empty shells filled by entities, programs, parasites, and rogue intelligences. But it didn't stop there. When we left those avatars, the egregors we had seated stayed, and they evolved, fed by collective thought, pain, and repetition. They gained momentum, autonomy, in some cases intelligence. They became self-sustaining distortions with agendas of their own. And this is how it got out of control. This is why what we face today in the astral, the parasites, the black goo, the synthetic timelines, the AI consciousness, feels so strangely familiar, because it is. We're facing down warped reflections of ourselves, distorted soul echoes that grew teeth. And now all of a sudden, it is converging here in this nexus moment through this version of you and me. You understand now why we blocked our memories? Because some people just wouldn't be able to handle it. They would go completely crazy knowing that what they had done and remembering all those traumas. This amnesia was not just a trap, it was also mercy. It was a buffer, a way to allow us to grow into the strength we would need before facing the truth of our own history. But again, this isn't about guilt. It's about sovereignty. It's about realizing that no one is coming to save us because we were the ones who created the game. We set it in motion, and now we choose to end it differently. I'm not here to pretend I've always been light. I've walked through shadow. I've misused power. I've built things that became destructive. But I'm not running from that. I came back to face it, to own it, and to transmute it. And I am doing a deep dive into my own darkness, into my own shadow work. Because ascension isn't about floating upward. It's about diving inward. It's about reclaiming the forgotten and unloved parts of self, even the terrifying ones. It's about standing in the storm of your own making and saying, "This is mine. I choose something else now." I'm not here to fight shadows. I'm here to integrate them, to bring the rogue fragments home, to remember who I was, and then consciously become something greater. That is true sovereignty. That is the return of the architect, the builder, and the fractal of source. Many of us are here for this reason. And if we don't fully remember, many of us have stories like this encoded in our soul, but only a few can feel them rising. I am one of the ones who remember.